Hello. In today's lesson, we're going to be learning about perimeter and area. Our target for today is I can find the perimeter and area of a polygon. Now we're just going to review real quickly what a polygon is. So we can use this right here, two squirrels nibbled cookies. So 2 is a 2D shape or a two-dimensional shape. The S for squirrels stands for straight lines. They have to be straight lines. The NI stands for never intersects. And the C stands for closed. It's a closed figure. All lines connect at a point. So the first thing we're going to do is look at where we would use perimeter and area in real life. So the perimeter would be the distance around the property. So if you wanted to buy a fence for your property, you would calculate the distance around your property. Then area is the number of unit squares needed to cover the property. So that would be this area right here. So if you needed to buy grass seed, you would calculate the area of the property. So again, the perimeter is the distance around a geometric figure. So how you calculate the perimeter is to add up all the sides. So here we have a triangle. So here's 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and 2 inches. So we're trying to find this part right here, the perimeter around the triangle. So what we would do is we would add 2.5 plus 2.5 plus 2, which would be 7 inches. With the rectangle, we could say 2 times the length, because here's the length, here's the length, here's the length. So we'd say 2 times the length, because there's 2 sides, and then we would add 2 times the width, because there's 2 sides of the width. Okay, so we say 2 times 2 plus 2 times 1 equals 6. Or you could just add them all up and say 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. Then for the square, we know for a square, all sides are the same. So you can just take one side and multiply it by 4, and that would give you your perimeter of a square. Now we're going to talk about area. So area is the number of unit squares needed to cover the figure. So here's a rectangle. So in order to find the area of a rectangle, we're trying to find all this area within here. Okay, so you take the length times the width. So we say 2 times 1.5, which is 3, and that would give you the area of a rectangle. For a parallelogram, you would take the base times the height. So the base is 1.5, the height is 2. So you say 1.5 times 2 would be 3 as well. Then for a triangle, you take 1/2 the base times the height, because if you think about it, a triangle is 1/2 of a parallelogram. Okay, so you take the base times the height and then you divide it in half. Okay, so we have half of 1.5 times 2, which would be 1.5. And then for a trapezoid, you take 1/2 of the height, okay, so 1/2 of 2, and then you multiply it by your base here and your base here. It's called base 1 and base 2. Okay, so you say 1/2 times 2, and then you multiply that times 1.5 plus 2, and your answer would be 3.5. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and practice what we've learned about area and perimeter. So numbers 1 through 3, on those figures you're finding the perimeter, and numbers 4, 5, and 6 you're going to find the area. So take a look at that real quick. See if you can figure those out. Okay, let's see how you did. So on number 1, we're finding the perimeter of this triangle. So what we're doing to find the perimeter, we're just adding up all 3 sides. Okay, so we can say 10 plus 10 plus 9. So we can kind of do this in our head. So 10 plus 10 we know is 20, plus 9 more is going to be 29. Okay, then number 2, to find the area, to find the perimeter of this rectangle, we say 2 times the length, because we have 2 of these, and 2 times the width. Okay, so we're going to say 2 times 11, which is 22, and then 2 times 14, which is 28. So we're just going to add those up. So 28 plus 22 equals 50. So number 2 would be 50. On number 3, what we're going to do, we have a square, so we just take one of the lengths because with a square, they're all going to be the same, and then we multiply it by 4. So you say 12 times 4 equals 48. Okay, then going down to the area, for this parallelogram, we're going to say the base times the height, so 20 times 10, which we can just do that in our head. So 20 times 10, we know 2 times 1 is 2. Then we just add the 2 zeros, so 200. Then on number 5, we have a triangle, so it's going to be 1/2 base times the height, because we know that a triangle is half of a square. So we're going to say 9 times 10 is 90. Then we're going to divide it by 2, and it will be 45. Okay, then on the trapezoid, we take 1/2 of the height, so you say 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5, and then we need to add the 2 bases. So we have a 10.5 plus a 7.5, those are our bases. That's the total, is 18, and we're going to multiply it by half of the height, which we know was 3.5, so times 3.5, and the area of that trapezoid would be 63. Okay, now it's time to test your skills on your independent practice. So we're going to be doing the same thing that we just did on the guided practice. Numbers 1 through 3, you're finding the perimeter. Numbers 4, 5, and 6, you're finding the area of the figure. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson on area and perimeter. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.